2018's Into the Spider-Verse is one of the most influential movies, not only when it comes to Miles' character in the comics, but also when it comes to animation in general. This movie popped out onto the scene and it was amazing. It still is amazing to this day. And it all starts with the character of Miles. At the start of the movie, he has been recently transferred to Brooklyn Vision's Academy, which is a new high school for him. He's been taken out of his neighborhood, and it has not been an easy transition for him. He is running around to classes, he is constantly late, but there are some upsides to being at Brooklyn Vision's Academy. He gets to meet a girl that he likes and he gets to talk to her, but not everything is so sound. As a matter of fact, dude's trying to fail out of his classes in Brooklyn Vision's Academy so he can go back to his old public high school he was districted to. And when that doesn't work, he goes to his uncle's house. It's a sort of escape from what his life is currently. And in the first 20 minutes of the movie, Miles is shown to have an amazing character, but that wasn't exactly present in Michael Bendis' original run of the character back in 2011. Miles sort of didn't have a character arc. He was there when Peter died, he was bitten by a spider. Before he could ever evolve as a character, he was thrown into fighting supervillains with the Ultimates, the Ultimate Universe's Avengers, and we sort of got usurped of his own character growth in service of him being a part of the big crossover comics. And even when I thought we were going to get something in his original 28 issue run, when his mother unfortunately passed in one of the comics, instead of having anything for Miles to do, he is, in a matter of fact 2 issues, guilt tripped into being Spider-Man again, and we have a 1-year time skip. Every time we think Miles could have had this great character growth, it is unfortunately stunted in the comic books. But that's something Into the Spider-Verse has 0 problems with. This entire movie, even to the detriment of the side characters, is 100% about Miles' story. This movie is about Miles becoming Spider-Man and making it his own. But of course it all has to start somewhere. Miles was just bitten by the spider. Hell, dude's barely even hit puberty before he got bit by the spider, and now he's got to deal with it while being bitten by the spider. And trying to flirt with his classmate Gwen, which goes oh so wonderfully, because he has no idea that at this point he has spider powers and he cannot control them.
Nice to meet you.
Sure. Total pleasure.
Miles literally can't control his powers to the point he's walking half naked around his building, and it doesn't hit him that he has developed these spider powers until he decides to read an old Spider-Man comic book, which this movie is amazing at doing callbacks like this to the original source material. Miles goes to investigate and finds the spider that bit him, and also inadvertently discovers his spider sense, and in the process stumbles upon Spider-Man fighting one of the villains, in this case Kingpin and his cronies. But when Miles makes himself visible to Spider-Man, Spider-Man almost instantly recognizes, holy shit, there's another person just like me. And I believe firmly this version of Peter Parker would have taken Miles under his wing, kind of like how he is done in the Insomniac Spider-Man games. But unfortunately, we will never see that come to pass. Mainly because since Miles showed up on the scene and distracted Peter, Peter was unfortunately and very unceremoniously killed by Kingpin in this universe. Spider-Man is dead, and Miles has to carry the mantle, much like in the 2011 comic run. Except this movie takes a long time to tell you that Miles isn't ready, and that he has no idea what he's doing. He is a scared kid at the end of the day. Dude is no more than, say, 14 years old, and he is just trying to figure out what he's supposed to do. He has been given a literal USB device from Peter and has been tasked with saving New York City from the Kingpin, from his machine that could blow up the entire city. It also rips holes in other dimensions. Now, Miles really wanted to try and get the hang of his spider powers, and that fails horrifically. It fails so bad that he breaks the USB stick that he was given by Peter Parker. And he is so saddened by this, he goes to Peter's grave to tell him about it.
I'm sorry, Mr. Parker. That thing you gave me, that key, I think I really messed it up. I want to do what you asked. I really do. But I'm sorry.
But in the process of going to Peter's grave and sort of talking it out with him, he discovers what appears to be another person trying to touch him. And Miles freaks out and accidentally uses his powers on him, only to discover this is another Spider-Man who looks just like Peter except far older. What Miles doesn't know at this point is that Kingpin's device that's probably going to blow up the city is ripping wormholes out to other dimensions. And so now Miles has to figure out where the hell this dude came from and how many more of these people are in the city. And this is all just on day one of Miles being Spider-Man. This is his first day as Spider-Man, and it is going pretty damn bad. But he somehow manages to convince Peter B. Parker to come with him and sort of find a way to fix the USB stick that Peter Parker gave him. And, well, Miles and Peter B decide to formulate a plan, and of course Peter B's plan goes off flawlessly. Sneak inside the building, fix the USB stick, and sneak out before anyone has ever noticed that they were in there. Yeah, that plan went terribly wrong, which leads to Miles learning how to swing for the very first time, learning how to use web shooters, and he's not very good at it at all, to start anyways. Again, day one on the job. But even if he was failing at web swinging, he is met by his classmate, Gwen, who turns out is Gwen Stacy, or Ghost Spider, from her own Earth, and her and Miles will go on to have a wonderful connection throughout the movie. But even as they escape and sort of make their way out of the facility, the seeds of doubt in Peter B's mind and Gwen's mind as to Miles's legitimacy as a spider person are being sowed. They firmly do not believe in Miles at all. Even when we are taken to the Peter Parker of Miles's Earth's cave, as they call it, his spider cave, we're shown that basically they don't believe in Miles at all. And Miles can definitely feel this, as he feels he has a big pair of shoes to fill in trying to be Spider-Man. And even as all of the other spider people who have come out of the woodwork and are dying because they are not in their own dimension, they don't even try to lean on Miles. They flat out tell him he's not ready.
Come on, Miles. You can do this.
Guys, cool it.
Get up, Miles.
Get up, Miles.
Come on, Miles. Get up. You need to be more honest with yourself about this. He's not ready. It's obvious.
Hell, they don't even trust him when an entire group of supervillains breaks into Aunt May's house looking for the USB stick that Miles has on him. They all tell him to get out of there and run, and they all want to take on everyone else without him. And so Miles runs until he runs into the Prowler, who happens to be his own uncle. In 2 days, Miles' entire world has been flipped on top of its own head. He has become Spider-Man, he has seen Peter Parker die, and now he has found out his uncle is not only the Prowler, but also his uncle dies. his uncle decides to forego Kingpin's direct authority, and for that gets killed, and Miles feels directly responsible for the death of his uncle. This is Miles's Uncle Ben moment, and unlike in the comic book, this has a genuinely profound effect on Miles Morales. You see, in the comic book, Uncle Aaron is just a straight up dickhead. He is a pure scumbag who literally blackmails Miles and dies trying to fight and kill his own nephew. But in this movie, it is made very clear that while Uncle Aaron is extremely flawed, he loves Miles. And so while Miles grieves over that loss, it makes sense. And now Miles is about to be stonewalled out of saving the day and getting the rest of the spider people to their own worlds. Because, again, they keep telling him he's not ready.
I gotta make Kingpin pay. You have to let me make him pay.
Miles, you're gonna get yourself killed.
But I'm ready. I promise.
Then Venom strike me right now. Or turn invisible on command so you can get past me.
And so Peter B ties up Miles and quite literally just leaves him to have to figure everything out on his own, not even giving him the chance at trying to avenge his uncle or do anything. But it takes one person to come and give Miles the confidence to be Spider-Man, and that's his father. What this movie did such an amazing job of is characterizing Miles's father as not just this useless side character scientist, but as a real part of Miles's life who helps him move forward as a person.
Look, I know I don't always do what you need me to do or say what you need me to say, but I see this spark in you. It's amazing. It's why I push you, but it's yours. Whatever you choose to do with it, you'll be great.
All it took was one person telling Miles that he could be great, that no matter what he chose to do, he was going to be great at it. It took that one push for him to be able to mostly control his powers and be ready to be Spider-Man. All it took was one person. And I think you all should take that into consideration as my viewers. All it takes is one person telling you that you can do something, because you can do anything. That's really what this movie is about. It is about letting you know that no matter what you want to do, you can do it. And I think that is probably one of the greatest messages a Spider-Man TV show, movie, comic book has ever taught to me specifically. And of course, if you're wondering, Miles goes in there, he kicks ass, and he saves the fucking day. Because that's what Spider-Man does. Because Spider-Man can be anyone.
You know, one of the greatest things about Spider-Man's outfit, his costume? What? He is completely covered. So any kid could imagine he's Spider-Man because no color of the skin shows. He could be black under that, he could be red, he could be yellow, he could belong to any race. And that wasn't done purposely, it was done accidentally, but I think it was the best thing we did, making him so that he could be anybody under that costume.
I just want to take a moment to thank you all for watching all the way to the end. I had a really great time getting to cover this movie finally. It's been on my list. And spoiler alert, but next Tuesday, I will be covering Across the Spider-Verse as the next film I talk about, all in prep to eventually talk about Beyond the Spider-Verse whenever they decide to drop that movie in probably a year's time. But I just wanted to say thank you to all of you that have watched to this point. If you're still here, if you could leave me a like, comment to me what your favorite moment from this movie was, and give me a sub, that would be amazing. If you want to see these videos early and unedited, they're up on my Patreon. And other than that, thank you all for watching.